Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Blueprint for Success. I'm super excited to be here with you on another second Tuesday. And hey, it is always a pleasure to have you here. We appreciate everything that you do for Build Your Best Life. We appreciate your prayers, your support, your comments, your shares, your likes. So please keep them coming. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube page as well. Make sure you like my Build Your Best Life Facebook page so that I will know when you are here and watching. But I am so excited to have Ashley Medford back with us today. How are you, Ashley?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Just getting over the fourth. It was a long weekend, but it was a lot of work as well. But it was fun.
That's good.
Yeah. So we have an exciting topic for you today.
Okay.
It's healing hearts, helping adopted children navigate emotional trauma. We're going to get into that because we have a lot of insight to provide for you today. But before we get started, I have an interactive question for everyone in the audience. You can think about this and put your response in the chat for later. You can put it in there now. But what's one way that you've helped a child feel emotionally safe in your home? Think
Wow.
about it. We can, have those days where everything seems to go wrong. Our minds are going all different ways. We have a lot to do. So we're not always, cognizant of how we respond or talk to our children. So what's one way you've helped a child feel emotionally safe? Because that's really, really important. Think about that. But Ashley, I know you've been here too about, I think this is about your third time, but of course,
Yes,
hopefully
ma'am.
we have some new people out here. So tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you love to do.
Okay. Well, again, my name is Ashley Medford, and a little bit about myself is I was adopted. I was placed in foster home. I went through a lot of different challenges in my adopted home. And now that I am grown, I basically give back to young men as far as, coaching or talking to. Being present. I have my children's books that I try to reach them with as well, visiting, whatever it takes, right? Or just leading them to the resource for each and every one of them so that their voice doesn't go unheard. And so that's what I basically love to do is go back and help the ones that don't really know their path or understand what they can do at life after adoption.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I know God is going to bless you for the work that you are doing. So keep going.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, now we know adoption can bring you the joy of a new beginning,
Hmm.
but it also may come with emotional wounds that need care and understanding. In this conversation, we'll explore how adoptive parents can recognize signs of trauma, create a safe space for healing, and build strong emotional connections with their adopted children. Whether you are an adoptive parent, guardian, or support person, this broadcast is for you. So please tune in, share, share, share. Ashley, what does emotional trauma look like in adopted children?
Whew. It looks like everyone. There's not a certain color, it's not a certain nationality, it's not a certain age, right? Because you can have it be from newborns. Maybe they have colic, maybe they have separation anxiety. You can get into a toddler, maybe they're not performing at the age development levels that they're supposed to because they have that sense of separation, abandonment going on. Um, When you get into maybe like 5 to 7, they can start regressing. Maybe potty training is taking a very hard step, or if they were already potty trained, they can start regressing. They can start showing signs of anger or signs of any emotion, really, as long as it's prolonged. So they might be sad all day, they might be angry all day, they might be, upset, just very anxious for a lot of different things. And then if they're older, like any child older than 10 that has been placed into the foster home, however they got in there, whether it was a legal adoption or they were placed for some type of disorderly conduct in the home, that child can have a multitude of signs. And so it would really take a lot of different types of therapists and coaching to kind of start at the ground and pull out the different traits that they're seeing, the different characteristics that they're seeing. Some are visual, very visual, maybe throwing, yelling, just being irate, but then some can be very quiet. Just you just can't break the ice at all. And it's like they're walking on eggshells. So, and that's very different from continent to continent, because what it looks like in the US is different from Germany to Switzerland to Africa, because the culture is different. So every culture has a different adoption foster care process. So you really just have to have um, a basic foundation to kind of see how that child is in their development after studying them for several like meetings or whatnot, and then kind of develop a plan from there, so you can kind of see where that child is at as a whole versus just saying, hey, we're going to label that child, this is what's going on.
All right. Well, that's good. So, it's good to hear, from your perspective that, you know what you're talking about, but you can get a better idea of, what a child may be going through. Because, you hear, well, that child is being fostered or that child is being adopted, has just been adopted, and you see them. But hearing your input that you feel like you can better work with them, like if you were in a school setting or church setting or what have you, or just having them in the home. You want to have empathy, but you need to know, kind of understand, I guess. So
Yeah.
that's really, really good.
Yes, ma'am.
So how can parents build trust and emotional safety?
um by putting in the work, and everybody's, um I guess the world would say SOP, standard of procedures. Everybody's standard of procedures or practices is going to be completely different. And again, the age level matters, right? So with that being so, that parent, and they would have like a lot of resources or whatnot, that are going to come into play as far as when the adoption actually happens, or when um, the child comes into the home from the fostering. All of that kind of would have been established, like different resources they can reach out to, but those may not be the resources that they stick with. So with that being said, they need to take a combination of the beginning resources, continue to reach out, continue to use, social media or whatnot, get engaged in a lot of different, parenting groups that allow them to see people that have already been there and done that. And with that, then they can kind of put all of that together based on the child's level and understanding on what's currently going on, what went through previous, and then what does it look like for the future. Because as a human being, um, things are always going to change. You can't really, they're still a human. You can't take this child and put it on a weight scale and say, oh, this child weighs so much and this is what it's going to give me. The measure is not going to be the same. You have to be able to have patience, endurance, integrity, tenacity, to be able to know, okay, I am taking this child out of this situation. My intentions, my well-being says that this child is going to be better with me and the way up that I live. But that may not be complacent with that child. That may not be that what that child needs. And you don't mean any harm, but you don't know what all is going to go into that, just kind of like cooking. You make up in your mind, it's the holidays, I want to make this lavish meal, but things happen, maybe you forget something at the store, or you didn't anticipate there was going to be more people that showed up, so there's so many things, as the world say, life. So you have a plan, but at any time you have to be willing to alternate. You have to be willing to say, hey, this plan was put in place, but now we're going to have to, move some things around because the child has developed these traits, or, maybe the child is pulled back, or maybe the child is overly active. Whatever it may be, you have to be willing to put the work in so that the aftermath, once that child is grown and they look back, like the good word says, train up a child the way they should go, and when they're older, they won't depart. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for that village that's able to pour into that child when that adoptive parent is tired, and they've given their all and they're going through adolescence now. You have to be able to lean on the other partners that were a part of this process, so that that child has that strong pillars, they have those strong foundations, and they can come back and tell their story of, let me tell you how my adoptive parents were. Let me tell you how my foster home was. Um, and that also includes whoever's in the house. If they have a one-on-one adoption, or maybe it's like a couple kids in the house, that's different if it's a foster home. Because a foster home, they're going to have, anywhere from 2 to 6 kids in the house. So that story is going to look a little different. Their story may be that, well, it was the peers that I had in the home. They were my brothers and my sisters. They helped me develop a little bit more. So their story may not lean so much on the adoptive parents. It may lean more on the siblings that they inquired as they were coming up. But again, everybody in the home still needs to be on that team. It needs to look um, like a soul food dinner, like that celebration. It has to look like that. You're gonna have all the good foods, you're gonna have some stuff that might have got messed up along the way, but once everybody sits down and anticipates, we did that, we put the work in, I cooked all of that, you helped me do this and you helped me do that, at the end the meal is still good. So just like that, the child is no longer a child. Now they're an adult, and they may not adopt, but when they look back over their life and see all the people that have poured into them, all the work that came from the team and family members that were around them, now you have a good citizen that's put back into the world, even though their beginning story was a little different.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. And if you have just joined us, we have a wonderful topic that we are covering today. Excuse me. Healing hearts, helping adopted children navigate emotional trauma. So, you and we go through things all the time, but just think about, these children, and you don't know what they've been through, just going through the things that we take as normal. And we don't have a lot of changes or anything going on in our lives, how we react. So just imagine the additional stress that can be put on them. So thank you for tuning in. And, just listening and thinking about it. I can imagine these children, they may be scared. They may not even trust the new family that they've been placed with, or they may miss someone that they've connected with in another home. So it can get, I imagine, pretty perplexing.
Yes.
So, what professional support options are helpful, like therapy, trauma informed care, or uh, something that is more is better?
um when it comes professional, all of it. But again, you we as a as the world would say, you still have to start off at the age group, and you still have to start on off on the culture that they're in, the continent that they're in. So you got to kind of have that location first. So once you have that location, kind of figured out. Now you can kind of see what resources you have. Obviously, Texas Department of Health and Human Service, it may not be that in other places. Um, but that's kind of where everything is going to go through. And then you'll have that initial adoption agency. And then from there, those two together will say, hey, these are some of the resources in the community. But from there, there's going to be a multitude of people. Because now that we have social media, you're going to have parenting groups on social media. You're going to have kids that were, the adopted child on social media. You're going to have so many different individual groups. And then you can also add on to, if you feel like you want a beginner group. Um, and then obviously, you're going to have your therapist, you're going to have your coaches, if you're Christian faith based, you're going to have your church. You've got the boys and girls group, you've got big brother big sister, you've got the boys and girls club. You have so many different entities within the community. So I guess you could break it down: local, state, and federal. So your local, you're going to have all your local chapters. And then your state, you're going to have all of the state agencies that are funded to give adoptive programs. And so those programs can be anything from the state. It could be classes that are for parents to come get coaching like this. It could be for them just to talk to, just open up. Maybe the adoptive child is not communicating strongly with the parents, and the parents, just want to have a one-on-one where we go as a family, kind of like a group meeting with counseling. They're going to have that. Again, those are probably going to be through the Texas Department of Health and Human Services. And then that can also go into federal, because they kind of fall into both state and federal, because they can get federal funding, they can also get state funding. But just like now, I always get emails every month of how many kids that still need to be adopted. This month there was like 150 that they sent out that are just waiting to get families. And all of those children, once they're adopted, all different ages, all different nationalities, they all have a package that comes with them of professional counseling that they've already had, depending on age, and then resources that can be helped with as well. So yeah, it's a lot out there. And like I said, you can go so minute as far as going within your own community, just trying to get people that may even be next door.
Mm. All right. All right. You hear that the help is there. Sometimes we have to do the legwork. And Ashley mentioned earlier, parents, foster parents, natural parents, whomever, you've got to put in the work. You can't just sit around and think everything is going to just pass. This too shall pass. No, that won't pass. So you've got to put in some work. So she's giving you a little bit of those resources that you can look for. So this is great information. um, Thinking about this trauma and things that children can go through and the help that they can get, is there a story that you can think of that you can, like a real life story that you could provide of resilience and recovery that you can think of to share with us?
Well, probably my own. Um, I I was adopted when I was 2 months old. My mother knew when she was born with me that she was going to give me up for adoption. So I first had to go into a foster home. I still have pictures of the foster home and everything that they kind of did at such a young age, which was not a lot because I was at the time, only a newborn up until 2 months. Once the legal actions and everything and paperwork were completed, I was able to be taken into the adopted family that the state had chosen, and that the family had chosen me as well. Um, and as time went on, when we migrated from the state of Missouri to the state of Texas, we were still dealing with a lot of racism. And in Carrollton, Texas, this was back in, I guess, 1989. It was still a lot of racism in there. And so I quickly advanced in everything that I did, but they didn't really know what to do with me. And so I had a teacher that got so angry with me, she decided to drag me down the hallway, all the way from class to the principal's office. And my mother found out about it and obviously sued the school district, and they wind up building a African American school that's called Rainwater in Carrollton, Texas, and I
Mm.
wind up being able to go to that advanced school, and it kind of changed my life because I really didn't have the opportunity to go into any advancement classes at that time. It was just normal classes. So with testing and everything and all the different things that they had, that allowed me to just kind of skyrocket, from the situation that I had. Um, my adoptive mother, she had her own business running a daycare. So she would watch everyone's kids. And my adoptive dad, he was a car salesman. So they were very, very busy. But my adoptive mother was very present the whole time because, she was at home. She would, pick me up from school, and then I would help her out with the daycare. And so everything was pretty much okay until I got into middle school, and things kind of started transitioning again because the school districts started changing a lot. There was a lot of peer pressure. And at that time, I was 9 when I actually found out about the adoption. And it sent me into a depression because I didn't have my identity. I was 9. And so, what little bit I thought I had, now I felt like I had no grip of anything. And so, all these emotions were running through me, and I didn't know how to control them. So, my adolescence came very early. But my adolescence was, just shutting down, staying in my room, listening to music. I still kept my grades up. I had a very strong urgency to always learn whatever. It didn't matter what it was. Let me learn about wildlife. Let me learn about, different careers. Let me learn about different activities. I was always wanting to learn more. But then when I was at home, because different things that really make sense to me, I kind of shut down with my adoptive mother and father. Um, and then once I got all the way into my teen years, um, I think things kind of took another heel because it was like, well, I'm still learning who I am, but now that I'm kind of up of age, I want to start working. So then it just numbed out for a few years. And it wasn't until I think I was out of the house in college, that I had already given my life to Christ, that I decided that I was going to start writing books. I didn't necessarily know they were going to be children's books, but I was always willing to help someone. So I was able to take a lot of the identity issues and look in the mirror and say, that's not me.
Mm.
That's not the person that I want to be. I'm more than the hardships I've had, I'm more than the struggle that I had, because we had a lot of hard times, because they were business owners. There was a lot of up and downs throughout the years. And children don't understand that. They just feel entitled to whatever it is they feel like because mom and daddy's supposed to do it anyways. But I, gratefully respect my mother and father and my sister who have all passed away. God bless their souls. But they did the best that they could do, and it made me who I am today. Um, they just didn't know what to do with all of this. So praise God, he sent
Yeah.
many people along the way. And because, I'll tell anyone, you can't have what you want if you don't decide to do something different.
Right.
And I've always been that different person. I want to know why can't I have those things? What makes a celebrity different than me? Like, we bleed the same way. I don't get it, right? And so there is no difference. It's just your work ethic. It's your tenacity. How much do you love it? Are you passionate about it? Are you willing to go to the end of the earth for it? So in my head, I knew that I wanted to have children. So in return, I had to give them a legacy so that the day that I pass on, I can be able to look back and say, okay, God, thank you for telling your daughter, job well done, because I did your will your way. You know, I sat down, I examined who I was, I took the adoption and everything else that was wrapped up in it, because I don't give a placard in life. You give a placard in life of where you place us at. And that's where you placed me at. So let me be grateful for everything that you've given me. And let me look back at the legacy that you've allowed me to create with the houses that you've given me, with the land that you've given me, with the wealth that you've given me. And that I can place that into my children and grandchildren and great grandchildren. And that they can look back and see, yet she started off weak, she ended up strong. And this is what she left us behind.
Awesome legacy, awesome story. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. All right. So, as we wind up here, can you please provide parents with tips on assisting children through trauma in addition to having a successful transition as they build their best lives?
Hmm. So, parents just need to be able to listen. Again, starting off, it has to be the age development. So, if they're a smaller child, please just have things in place. While they're in those young days, young ages, make sure basically 0 to about 7, maybe 0 to 5. Just give them as much love as you can. You make sure that you're building social skills because you don't know what's up ahead. So plan, plan, plan. Um, so when that day comes and adolescence does start, and you don't know how they're going to find out they're adopted, because some stories are very subtle. Some can be just like mine. It was just kind of thrown at you. Oh, you're adopted. Oh, okay. you know so however it is, be prepared for that conversation. That day is going to come, whether it's an adopted home, or it's a foster home with multiple children. However that situation is, be prepared to answer questions. Be prepared to have as many people that you can have in that conversation. And then allow them to explore with boundaries. Allow them to explore the different emotions that they're having, because you don't want them to bottle those emotions in. Now they're going to start dealing with depression and anxiety and every other negative emotion that they have. We don't want anything that has negative energy around them, you know even though they're expressing those things, and maybe they were already in programs or whatnot, and they may want to pull back from them. Still encourage it. Maybe they want to be in their room more. Still go in there. Still go in there and talk to them. Still, say, hey, let's go out and maybe do some things that you want to do. But also give them grace. Give them grace enough to be able to heal, because it's a healing process. There was a separation. That they're going to feel abandonment. They're going to have the questions. Their emotions are going to be all over the place, and it's okay for them to feel like that. Don't make them feel like it's not okay to feel. We're human. So, with that being said, make sure you have all that professional help there that's ready, and also, your close friends and family, because what you may be saying to them now may be a wall, and they can't perceive it. So now they need someone else that have a different perception, that can help them learn and balance and give a sense of order to how they're feeling. And that's okay. And then you also, as the parent, make sure you're getting it as two. It's twofold. It is not just for that child. You make sure that you are also getting the help that you need, because you don't want to fall into a different emotion because the child is no longer reaching out to you the way that you originally felt like it. So make sure that you have somebody that can pour into you while your cup is feeling empty, because you don't want to feel like, I've taken this child out of this, negative environment, and I've placed them in my home. I've given them everything I have. My cup is no longer, full. It's not even half full. I've poured everything into this child, and now they don't even want to talk to me. Now you feel hurt. Now you feel abandoned. Now you feeling everything that they felt. It's the irony of life.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that you have a support group that can hold you up, those pillars of life, that let you know, keep going. It's okay. Life is gonna life. But continue to pass on that torch, continue to edify them, continue to exhort them. If you're Christian faith based, continue to build in that church life, because God will reward the ones that are faithful in his word. So, with all of that combined, there will be a day of judgment where both of the parents and the child, or the foster home, however the setup is, that they can have a kumbaya moment and be like, okay, we got through the winds and the waves, and here we are. And I'm so grateful, mom, dad, family, whatever it is, that you guys took me in here. Now, here comes the Thanksgiving, however it looks, because it looks in many shapes and forms, Thanksgiving, right? So here's my thank you, here's my gratitude. I am who I am because of you today. And then the parents may have that as well, right? I am who I am today because I raised you. I couldn't have kids, whatever their story is, and you changed me as a person. You helped me at maybe the end of what I thought was the end of my life. You gave me life back. So all of that is a circle of life.
That is so good. Thank you so much for that information. You
Yes,
brought a
ma'am.
lot of different nuggets into the situation.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
and, I know that anyone here that's listening, they had to have gotten some information that they did not know, something that would be helpful in the future. Uh, so I really appreciate you sharing. That was, I loved it.
Yes.
Yes. So, is there anything that you would thought about as you were discussing this that you would like to give us as a closing moment?
Um, I guess the top of the closure is also beware. With all things that are new, adoption or anything like that, be cautious. There are a lot of people out here that come off that they mean you well and they actually don't. And we have to walk in discernment. So if there are a few programs that you want to do for the kids, make sure you're looking at the reviews. If a person doesn't have at least one review, that may be questionable. So make sure you're checking your resources, because the last thing we want to do is put a child into a situation that you didn't check the resource, and now that winds up being a negative situation for that child or that parent that's trying to get resources for themselves as well. So just be cautious. Whether that's in person or social media, please be cautious. And with that being said, continue to use your resources, continue to reach out to podcasts like these, continue to, network, so that everyone is in their best position, whether it be movies or plays or books. Like I said, I write books as well, but there's many adoption books out there. Mine is The Voice Through You Through the Mirror. It's more so for the child itself, but parents can read it as well. It gives you a different perspective of how a child is thinking and a young man's point of view. So just make sure that you're just doing the work at the end of the day. And as always, we are always here to help. If we don't know, we will find out what resource that can help you and the child.
Thank you so much. That was awesome, awesome, awesome. And we're going to have a treat for you next month. Ashley is going
Yes.
and I are going to give a series next month, and we'll provide more information as that time gets closer. But it is going to be uh, just, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's going to be some great information. It's going to
Yes.
help you from start to finish. And as you hear or have heard today, Ashley is not someone that's just uh, telling you her opinion of what she thinks, but you can tell that she has studied this information, done the research, and she has those tips and information that can really help you through this process. So I'm
Yes.
excited about next month.
Yes.
Well, again, thank you all so much for tuning in today.
Thank
We
you.
love to have you here with us on Build Your Best Life, always trying to provide content that will assist our young men in building their best lives, as well as encouraging our moms. So thank you so much for spending time here. And remember to share, share, share. Now,
Yes.
please come back on Thursday. On Thursdays, we always have Let's Talk About It, those topics that are trending. And so will be our second Thursday of the month. So Kara Crockett will be our guest. And so, we always try to have those topics that you will love. So please join us this
Yes.
Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our Let's Talk About It segment. Enjoy the rest of your day. And again, as always, I guess can't say it enough, but I do appreciate you coming here and supporting us because you don't have to. You really don't. There are so many things that you could be doing with your family, your friends, just something at your leisure. But taking the time to come on here and get this content to share it with others, that is, just showing the type people that we have that supports Be Your
Yes.
Best Life. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
And as always, remember, building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan, it is our commitment. I love you. Be blessed. Stay safe. I look forward to seeing you Thursday. And Ashley, I can't wait until next month.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye.